Welcome back, everybody.
Back.
Woo! Season two, Two Average Guys. We're excited. We're ready to be back. We got a few new things for you this year. First of all, this is YouTube Live, so we are casting our first show live on YouTube.
Sweet.
It's pretty fantastic. Never done this before, so hope it turns out well. We're also creating a podcast, so our podcast will be available after the show. We figured this would be a little bit easier for people to listen to us rather than having to watch an actual video.
No one really wants to watch us talk and drink and.
I do, but no one else does, so I enjoy us. But we figured maybe a little bit more fun to have a podcast available so people can listen to it on the radio, on their iTunes, on their Google Play. So both will be available after the show. Both links will also be available on Google Play on Two Average Guys podcast. So hope you guys enjoy this season. We're excited. We got about 2.5 weeks for our very first game.
Yes.
It's on Thursday night, I believe, on September 1st. September 1st, the first game. So we're a little bit later than last year. I believe last year was like August 28th or something like that. August 26th, I don't know.
That's right.
Somewhere around there. So we're very excited to be back, guys. Hopefully we entertain you more. Our goal this year is to provide more. We got some feedback last year, provide more names, more stats. People like the show, but we want more. And hopefully this podcast kind of gets us to that next level. So any feedback you guys have for us is always welcome and available. But we're here for you. We're here to talk about college football.
And hopefully the Huskers have a better season.
And that's what we're talking about first, Nebraska. Obviously, Nebraska fans, if you couldn't tell by the man cave, like I said, we'll be coming to you from the Nebraska man cave. So we are here in the cave, drinking beer, wearing our Husker stuff, and we're ready to talk college football. So, how are the Huskers going to do this year?
You know,
First of all, recap last year. How did we do last year?
Okay.
How we do?
Last year was tough. Starting out with that first game with the losing on the Hail Mary, it was just like, man, is that how this season's going to be? And that's exactly how the season was.
It was.
It is nice to see, us not getting blown out.
Yeah.
When
We had some good games.
Nothing against when we had Bo Pelini, but there was always, we played these big games and we get blown out. In fact, it was almost the opposite. In the big games, we played better, and we beat Michigan State, top 5 team.
Yeah.
Stuff that we never have done, or we haven't done for the last few years. So that was good.
So what's the difference between last year and looking forward to 2016? Mike Riley's second year. What do we got to look forward to?
I think Tommy Armstrong will be. Ideally, he'll be a little bit better of a fit in Mike Riley's system in year 2. I think last year they said that they wanted to do more of like kind of mix in what they wanted to do with what they think Tommy could do. But I think they went with more of what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And
Tommy couldn't do that. Tommy can't throw the ball 45 times a game.
No. I mean, he's not a Hail Mary long distance type thrower. He has the arm for it, but he doesn't have the accuracy. He is very good on the short passes. He's very good on the out passes, on the swing passes. And I think we can utilize that year to his strength to get a little better on moving downfield.
It was a lot of high risk, high reward plays. I mean, even when you look at it, and there was a game last year, it was 4th and 1, and they did a deep ball to the end zone, a 50-50 ball. I mean, stuff like that, they got to get away from stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Have maybe some more designed runs for Tommy as opposed to, instead of 5 incompletions, maybe he runs, even if it's only 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
And a possibility of a long run or getting a first down.
Tommy's a big guy, so Tommy can run through people. He doesn't do it often because I think they're trying to shy him away from that. He can do it. He can hurdle people. We've seen him hurdle people. We know he can run fast downfield. We can run past people. He can juke people. But what's nice is our backfield. Our backfield is phenomenal. We have Michael Wilbon. We have a Zigbo. Those 2 guys. I know we have Newbie. I don't know if he's going to be our starter this year. I'd like to see Zigbo take the start. But
so would I. I feel like Newbie will be the starter to start. And I could be wrong. But Zigbo might be the starter. Regardless, I think it'll be kind of a running back by committee, at least to start. And then if one of them breaks out, which I think the Zigbo probably will, things might change.
But what's nice is we have 3 guys who can do it. We have 3 very capable running backs. Newbie's our speed guy. Zigbo is definitely he's all around back. Wilbon is I'm going to power right through you. He reminds me of Monty Cross.
Yeah.
He is the guy that you can put in there. He has speed, but he can also run you over. He's a bulldozer.
Well, and I think they're giving him more of a shot than they were off the bat.
Last year?
Yeah.
All because I think he said some stuff to the coaches, and they said, well, from what we heard, he said some stuff to the coaches, and they said, all right, basically you're not going to play anymore, which was a shame because when he did play, he was really good. So hopefully this year he shuts his mouth, plays a little more, gets in there, and shows what he can do. I think he's going to be a big guy for us.
It will be exciting to see, probably, at least in the last, since I can remember, best receiving core that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And
Westerkamp is back.
Brandon Riley.
Riley's back. Hopefully he's not suspended for anything.
He should be all right.
He should be. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
No, but Stanley Morgan, people forget because he's been so back and forth, but
yeah.
DeMornay Pearson-El, depending on what kind of role he's going to play, I was hearing things about, they weren't quite sure about him. Maybe he might take a redshirt year, which is not the end of the world because, I felt like he probably came back a little too early after injury and was not, the DPE that we knew.
Yeah.
So
I think he'll be fine moving this year, and we'll see what happens.
I'm just excited to.
I think last year was Stanley Morgan too. Like he had a great year, but he can have a better year. And I think the thing is Jordan Westerkamp is our number one target, and people know that. And hopefully this year as a senior, he gets triple teamed. Doesn't happen in football,
no.
But he gets double teamed, and we can go down the field to Morgan more often.
Riley,
we can
go to Stephen Carter.
Stephen Carter,
he
yes.
is, I think,
Carter.
is a big piece.
Carter and running backs.
I hope so. Some screens.
I think we can go to some screens more often. Tommy has the capability to throw short passes with accuracy. They really need to focus in and hone on his skills instead of trying to go, like you said, go big or go home. You do a little less of the big reward, big risk, and I think we're going to do better.
I hope that he's done quite a bit of improving over the offseason. If we can eliminate the turnovers, that's what everybody's talking about. The turnovers last year and the new system on defense and guys weren't picking it up fast enough was what, it looks like the defense is going to be pretty good. We have a few guys coming in. Nate Gary is...
There's a lot of hype around Nate Gary.
Love Nate Gary.
NFL scouts are drooling over Nate Gary right now.
He's a beast.
He's improved. Last year he improved. The year before I thought he was one of our worst defensive players. I remember yelling at the screen telling, get number 25 off the field. He is terrible. What's his name? Nate Gary. Get him off the field. I was so mad. Then last year, stellar season. He makes some mistakes like everyone does, but man, when he's on his game, he is one of the best defensive backs you can have on the field. By far, one of the best in college football.
Some of the guys like Kalu and some of those corners are shaping up to be. Plus, we have a few guys that came in. I think there's some guys that are going to be some kind of lockdown corners, and I don't think it's going to be quite the way it was last year, where teams could just kind of throw the ball down the field, however, whenever they wanted. Hopefully, we can get some more pressure on the quarterback. I know we lost a couple of defensive linemen, transfer, or
NFL bust, whatever.
Or what's his name? Just quit football altogether. Would have been a stud.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential. Kalu, you mentioned him last year. He was good. He was bad. He's a little back and forth.
That's probably the toughest position in football to play.
But he's young. He has potential. Yeah. The coaches are excited about him. The potential is there. Let's get
Linebackers are going to be pretty good.
Get him to that next level. He'll get there. We have coaches in their second year now. Kids are getting to know them. They're starting to play better together. So, prayers that it keeps going. Husker season predictions.
Gosh, I don't even know. We might have to wait till next show for me to give a prediction.
We'll wait a little while. Find out who starters are. We'll go a little more in depth.
We'll do another show the week before the season starts. Maybe I'll give a prediction. Then I got to do a little bit more thinking about that.
Okay. Right.
As far as Nebraska goes, we got to give a shout out to
Sam Foltz,
family of Sam Foltz, all the players, everybody that. Yep. Gosh, just tragedy, man.
The whole thing in general. I mean, listening to the guys talk that were with him that day at the camp.
And Drew Brown, I mean, they were like best friends, and
Yeah,
he was in the car ahead of him and went back and found him. I mean, God,
it's just terrible. So
Sam
shout out
Foltz was
to
a man.
Sam
He
Foltz.
would have played in the NFL for a long time. Hopefully, he's up in heaven,
kicking punts up there.
Yeah, punting 65-yarders, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right.
So what we have on tap today, so Nebraska football, obviously we're going to talk about it every show. But what we want to talk about next is our preseason top 10 coaches poll. We'll go over that. We'll talk about
Preseason
Heisman hopefuls, which once again, you can have as much hype as you want at the beginning of the season. Doesn't mean that's how it's going to shape up.
Yeah, there always is, and there's always 5 to 8 names out there, 5 to 10 names out there before the season starts, and within the first 6 games of the season, there's people that weren't even on the map that are up there, and some people have fallen off the map. But
and then
there's some pretty good contestants this year that I think it could be a pretty good Heisman race.
Yeah,
if
I think
guys don't get hurt or
they don't suck
or
one
don't
game.
have a good, or as long as they have a good season.
Yeah.
So.
And then we'll talk about trouble with the law. So I won't talk too much about it yet, but we'll get into it because it's something I'm talked about before and I'm a little passionate about, and I'm going to get a little fiery again. So just get excited, get fun. It's coming.
People talk about the off season's boring, but that's when all the
that's
when all the craziness happens.
And that's when all the craziness happens. So we'll talk about that. We'll dive into some of the big stuff that happened with people getting in trouble with the law, some of the teams. So we'll go into that here in a little bit. So first things first, preseason top 10. So no surprise, number 1, Alabama.
Yeah, I mean they probably earn the spot. They've won how many national championships over the last few years?
They've been in the top 3 over the past probably 4 or 5 years. I mean,
and
has
you
not
know
changed.
what? We hate them. We talk about it all the time how much we hate them. But they every year it seems like they'll have who's their quarterback going to be? Oh, how good is Alabama going to be? Because they don't have a quarterback. They're losing their quarterback. They're losing their running back. And the next year they have some nobody that comes in as a quarterback, or maybe a younger guy that just had never really seen the field, and they just keep pumping out running backs, and shoot, man.
So we know for sure they start off with USC this year. So their first game of the season is, I don't think USC is going to be great this year, but it's USC. You never know how they're going to come out. You never know how they're going to play. Sometimes they surprise you. USC does not have a lot of returning offensive or defensive players. So they're a little thin on returning starters, but I think they have some talent still to give Alabama a match. So we'll see how things go. That game's on September.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that USC versus Alabama. I mean, you'd be like, "Oh man, I'm stoked for that game," which is very possible. I mean, it's the first game of the season. You never really know. Some of these games look good, but they're not, and some of them, might not look that good. But by the end of the year, man, that game at the beginning of the season was a great matchup.
Yeah.
So you never know. I hope it's a good game. Not a huge fan of either team, but I would kind of hope. We always hope for Alabama to lose. That'd
be fantastic. Number 1 team preseason goes down. But let's talk about some notable returning players. So we have sophomore Calvin Ridley. He's coming in.
He was good.
89 receptions, over 1,000 yards in 2015. So he's going to be the top receiver for Alabama, which no surprise there. He actually broke the record for sophomore receiving yards. Who's the previous wide receiver?
Mark Cooper?
Yeah, Mark Cooper. Mark Cooper, he broke his record, his freshman record.
Dang,
so
he's tearing it up.
So Calvin Ridley, I mean, if you watch college football last year, Calvin Ridley is good. You know that he's going to have a good year, but who's the quarterback? So that's one thing that, they got to have a quarterback to throw to him. So we'll see what happens there. Also, another notable player is their senior linebacker Reuben Foster, 48 solo tackles last year. So he's going into a senior year. Obviously going to want to play well looking into the draft for 2017 season.
And, they had a lot of offensive line and defensive linemen that went in the NFL draft. A lot of them went pretty high, things like that. Their turnaround's pretty good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They always get, pretty good recruits. So they're losing some guys, but They always got more.
Well, some of the most notable offensive guys are Coker, obviously, Henry, of course, running back, and then O.J. Howard, their tight end. So O.J. Howard, a lot of people are like, oh, he didn't have that great of a year, but they used him when they needed him because people didn't expect him to show up.
Well,
So O.J. Howard's gone, their tight end. So we'll see what happens at the tight end position. And
when you have a kind of a stud wide receiver, that opens up some lanes for a tight end.
Yeah.
Because everybody's focusing in on that wide receiver. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Hoping for a couple losses, but
you never know with Alabama.
Yeah.
So I did want to note that their quarterback, I forgot I put it down here, Cooper Bateman is their starting quarterback for this year. He's a junior, and he was 37 of 52 last year for 291 yards. So 37 of 52, not too bad. So
probably came in at the end of games.
Yeah.
But
he definitely didn't start a game, but he played games where they were up big. Talk about a QB going 37 for 52, not too bad. So we'll see how he does. So they have a QB. He's a junior. He's had some experience on the field. Obviously, probably a lot of practice experience out of Coker, getting coached by his coaching staff. You can never count Alabama out. You never can.
Yeah.
So
even with the loss.
Number 2, Clemson. No surprise here. Number 1, number 2, same thing as last year. So last year to end the season, number 1, number 2 were Alabama and Clemson. No surprise. Alabama beat Clemson championship. So we all know about that. Clemson plays Auburn in their season opener.
That's a good first game, man.
That is a good. I'll tell you what. The top 10 in the preseason, their season openers are not slack teams. I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 that are in there, like Ohio State. Ohio State. We'll talk about them in a second. But so Clemson plays Auburn. Auburn, once again, one of those teams where you never really know how they're going to be.
They were all right last year. They were kind of up and down. There was potential of them, being pretty high up last year.
Yeah.
They kind of dropped off the map a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
they did. But so they play on September 3rd, just about everyone else here. So Watson last year, Deshaun Watson, everybody knows who he is. If you ask me, between him and Christian McCaffrey, one of those two should have been clear-cut Heisman Trophy winner over Derrick Henry.
If you watched us last year, then you know how much we hated Derrick Henry winning the Heisman.
I mean, you look at stats, you look at who had a great season. Watson threw for over 4,000 yards and rushed for over 1,100 yards. Had 47 combined touchdowns. That's incredible. Derrick Henry, I'm sorry, great football player. I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's a great player. I think he had a good season.
But they had him rushing like 30 to 40 times a game.
Yeah, and
when
he scored touchdowns, a lot of his touchdowns were inside the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
So, once again, Derrick Henry, great running back. I don't want to take anything away from him, even though I hate Alabama. But I think Watson or McCaffrey were a clear-cut Heisman Trophy winner over him. I think he won it because Alabama. Just saying.
Yeah.
SEC, I think you won it. Alabama, all I'm going to say. So, Watson, great year. He's going to have another good year. Their running back, Wayne Gallman, also had a phenomenal year. He's returning for his as a running back, over 1,500 yards rushing.
Yeah, and
13
TDs. I mean, that's a touchdown a game. I know they've played probably, 15 games?
Yeah.
But even so, that's 100 yards a game and just about a touchdown a game. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's taken a lot of pressure off of Deshaun Watson. Putting him, when you have a running back that can, put up 100 yards a game, obviously defenses have to go run first, and that opens up Watson to either pass or run, and I mean, he can you would imagine he can only get better. I know that it seems like Johnny Manziel was awesome, and then kind of dropped off the map. Not necessarily dropped off the map, just didn't have as good of a season his first year. Jameis Winston didn't have as good of a second, sophomore year as his freshman year. I know he was a sophomore last year. Deshaun Watson was a sophomore last year, but all signs are pointing for them to do just as well as they did last year. They got a great coach.
Yep. I will say Dabo Swinney, I think he's a weird guy.
He is,
but man, he's a fantastic
coach.
coach.
Gets his team pumped up.
Great coach. Does well.
Ready to go. And
dances. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see because the ACC will have a couple teams that are going to be pretty good.
Talk about another one here in a second, which I don't agree with, but we'll talk about them. Notable players on defense are their cornerback Tankersley and defensive tackle Carlos Watkins. Sorry, they're returning on defense for their senior years, and they're going to be a big piece of that defense. So you can have a high-powered offense that can score, but you also need to have a defense that can stop that offense. I mean, we've seen it with TCU and Baylor going back and forth when they're scoring in the 50s and 60s, and one of those teams is going to win, but it's a shootout. And with Clemson being as good as they are on offense, they have a defense to back it up that is capable of doing a lot.
Yeah.
And playing really well.
Yeah, I could see them winning the ACC and getting a playoff spot, but
yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll see. Number 3, previously at number 5 at the end of the season, Oklahoma Sooners. So I had a lot to say about Oklahoma last year too. I don't believe the hype. I really don't. I still don't. Even after last year, I still don't believe the hype. I think Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. Obviously, he's returning this year, but I don't believe the hype. They start off their season against Houston, who had a hell of a season last year. And obviously people are going to pick Oklahoma because Baker Mayfield, they think he is a god, and they're going to think that he is going to just storm the field. Now, he only played because his predecessor got hurt. And now he's no longer at Oklahoma. He transferred to Texas A&M. What's his name? I can't remember.
It's not coming to me.
I didn't put it on.
What I will say is,
he did throw for 3,700 yards.
I'd say he did have 36.
And had 36 TDs. So he had a good year.
Pretty incredible.
I'm not saying he's not a bad quarterback. I don't believe the hype around Oklahoma as a whole team. I think he is a great quarterback. I don't think he's as good as people. He's not a Deshaun Watson. He's not a dual threat quarterback. He has two good runs last year.
The problem with Oklahoma is when they are overly hyped, or they have them preseason number 1 or preseason really high, that's when they end up stumbling.
Mm-hmm.
When you run into it like last year, I don't know that they had them that high going into last year.
No, they didn't.
They had them in like the top 25, 20 to 25 even, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think they were in the top 15.
And that was when they had kind of a breakout year. So I'm not really sure what to think. I do believe that they have a legitimate shot with the way the Big 12 is, with no Big 12 championship game. I know that's coming.
It's coming.
And probably Big 12 expansion. What I like about this game is I personally think that Houston needs to join the Big 12.
Yeah.
Or that the Big 12 needs to have Houston join them as one of their expansion teams. Whether that happens or not, it's up in the air. I know that's another Texas team joining the Big 12, which Texas is not going to be happy about because once TCU joined, they started taking recruits and
we all know Longhorns. They have their own network. I mean, get over it.
But I think Houston would be one of the better fits to join the Big 12. Mm-hmm. And they have a fantastic coach, one of the best coaches out there. Young coaches.
They get great recruits with that in that area. For how good they are and the recruits that they get. I mean, it's unbelievable with how many teams are in Texas that they can get that many good recruits.
Yeah, I just feel like this game is like it's like a kind of a early picture of a big matchup that could potentially be down the road between Houston and Oklahoma.
Well, and so not only the recruits that they get, not only is that phenomenal, but the fact that Texas has 2 conferences in the state. They got Big 12 and SEC. So both teams
and
are
AAC.
Both teams and
yeah, they have more. I mean, it's
so both
not,
teams.
They have 2 Power 5.
2 Power 5. So all those conferences are pulling recruits from the state because you can play football year round in Texas. We know that. So the fact that Houston keeps pulling in these great players, they're going to present a good matchup against Oklahoma. But let's focus again on Oklahoma.
I do think I do think that'd be good. One thing I did want to add about Oklahoma, they did a very good job of scheduling.
Yes.
Not sure if it was luck, excuse me, or what, but the fact that they scheduled Houston and Ohio State as both
It's huge.
early. I mean,
Out of conference.
you win those games, and shoot, even if you lose, maybe if you lose the Ohio State game, you win the rest of your games and you win the Big 12 conference. I mean, you're almost an automatic into playoff.
We'll get to Ohio State here in a second. I
That's
got my
true,
own
that's
thoughts
true.
on them, but
two, of the top 10 teams
Yeah.
you got on your schedule in preseason play.
that looks good.
That's the way to do it. And that's not how the Baylors and the Ohio States of the world roll.
No.
But
Well, and they also have a cornerback, Jordan Thomas, who's coming back. He's going to be their key player. He had 5 interceptions last year, which 5 interceptions doesn't seem like a lot, but in college football, 5 is pretty darn good. So he's a key player on defense. We'll see how Oklahoma shapes out. Like I said, I'm not buying into the hype. I've never had a problem with Oklahoma. I like Bob Stoops, fantastic coach. Even when we were in the Big 12 Huskers, I never had a problem with Oklahoma, especially when we beat them. But we'll see how they do. Number 4. I have a problem with this, Jimmy. A big problem with this.
I know.
Florida State.
I think
They were number 14 at the end of the season. They had, I think, 3 losses last year. Maybe they had at least 3 losses last year.
I think what
How are
the
they
deal
number
with them
4?
is that they have Cook coming back. They had McGuire coming back, but he got hurt. He's out.
Yep.
He has to have surgery pretty quick, I think.
And it's a freshman quarterback.
So they're gonna. But I think that they came out with these before that injury happened. But they get a good recruiting class. Not that that means everything, but they always get a good recruiting class. So, they're thinking maybe somebody can kind of step in right away. Also, they're going to have some guys that maybe redshirted or that were freshmen last year that can play a bigger role this year. I don't like their coach. I don't like their program. I never cheer for them.
I'll tell you right now. So on their depth chart, they have obviously McGuire as a starter. That's before all this happened. But they're on the second. They had a redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
But they also talked to a true freshman, and his words were, and they think he's going to be the starter. And he said, "This team is not mine until the coach says it's mine."
I saw that.
And I think I can't remember his name.
I don't know what his name was.
Damn it, I can't remember his name. Either way,
18-year-olds, I don't remember.
yeah, one of the 18-year-olds. I can't remember the kid's name, but either way, Florida State on offense, Dalvin Cook is what they have going for them. I mean, if these quarterbacks, the redshirt freshmen and the true freshmen, they better be damn good. If you're going to rate them at number 4, you better have some really good stats to back up to show that they deserve to be number 4. That redshirt freshman, if he's the starter, you better show me some stats that he's a starter. Dalvin Cook rushed for just under 1,700 yards and 19 TDs last year.
That's pretty good. And I mean, that's a really good year.
That's a good year. But you better have a quarterback who can throw. And you better have receivers, because Florida State lost a lot of offensive and defensive players, once again, to graduation or NFL draft. So Florida State always seems to be ranked really high at the beginning of the season, and this has happened for years. I don't like it. I hate it. And I really don't I think they jumping 10 spots from last season ended at number 14. You really think they're number 4 this year? I know you don't. I know you don't. So I just drive me nuts.
One thing I will say about this is that their first game I am very intrigued about. They play so that first weekend, there's football. Guys, there's football on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Is that not? Do we live in an awesome world or what?
USA.
But they play on Monday night, on Labor Day. It's Labor Day weekend, opening weekend. They play on Labor Day. I think that's the only game.
I think so, yeah.
And it's Florida State and Ole Miss in Orlando. I'm excited because
I hate both teams.
I don't like either team, and I know both teams lost a lot of players to the draft. And it's just going to be a kind of a point to see where these teams are at.
Yep.
And
So Florida State does have a defensive player. Their defensive end, DeMarcus Walker, had 9.5 sacks last year. That's pretty good in college. That's really good for 9.5 sacks. So and 23 solo tackles. So that he's ended his senior year, defensive side of the ball. He's a key player for them. Obviously, Dalvin Cook, Heisman hopeful, is going to be on the offensive side. He can be the difference maker in that offense. You can have a quarterback that's mediocre, but with Dalvin Cook in the backfield, he can make him look really good. So he's a good blocking running back. He's a good runner. He's a good catcher. We'll see what happens with Florida State. Ohio State.
Number 5.
Ohio State's number 5. They were previously number 4 at the end of the season last year. They open up with Bowling Green. So
In-state rival, man.
It's in-state rival, man. Here's the thing with Ohio State. They lost probably more players than anybody else to the draft or graduation in the top 10. As far as returning starters, they lost a lot of offensive and defensive players, both on the lines. And you obviously
and skill positions. I mean,
you lost,
they had a lot of guys go in the draft.
Cordell Jones is gone, your quarterback. JT Barrett didn't play a ton last year.
Braxton
Miller's gone. He was a huge part of their offense last year. Once again,
a lot of their defense was gone.
Not buying the hype. Again,
what's his name went pretty high in the draft.
I understand you have to put them a little higher because they finished really well last year. So obviously they're going to be in the top 10. They're going to be in the top 5.
Joey Bosa, sorry.
And
Joey Bosa was...
I'm going to say this right now, guys. Joey Bosa's a little bitch. Man, you're getting paid a lot of money. Accept the money. Take it. Just because you have to wait 4 months to get an extra little bonus, stop being a little bitch, Bosa. You're not that good. You're playing in the pros. Stop it. JT Barrett. So we all know JT Barrett's skill. Hell of a good guy. I like JT Barrett. I hate Ohio State, but as a player, JT Barrett is a great quarterback. He could be a receiver. He could probably even be a running back. He's just like what's his bucket that just left Ohio State. Got drafted. What?
That was Braxton Miller.
Yeah, Braxton. He is a Braxton Miller. He's an all-around good guy, all-around good player. He's going into senior year.
Yeah, he wants to prove something. He wants to probably try to play in the NFL.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
He won't be a quarterback in the NFL.
I'm not sure what. I mean, obviously they lost a lot of players. They lost Ezekiel Elliott.
They have a lot of youth this year.
But they usually have a really good recruiting class. And so, yeah, they're just like, these Florida States and Ole Misses and Alabamas, these teams that always recruit well, that, always have a good team, but then they lose so many guys and it's always just a question mark.
Yeah.
So, some of these teams thrive and, the young guys step up, or the seniors, the few seniors that they have that have been there kind of pull everybody together and they have a great season. And sometimes they underachieve. So through the top 5, I mean, you got Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Florida State, Ohio State. I mean, those all are some of the best teams in college football. Are all those teams gonna be great?
Are they gonna be good this year?
Are they gonna be good this year? I would say 3 or 4 of them probably will, and 1 or 2 of them will drop. That's just my guess.
Yeah, and I think once again the hype around Ohio State is because of what they've done in previous years, with them losing so many guys to graduation in the draft. JT Barrett is a great player, but
and they have Urban Meyer
to run the offense with a lot of youth. JT Barrett doesn't have a lot of experience as a captain on that offense, so we'll see how his experience pulls through and how he can pull that offense together with a lot of youth on the team and really make a difference in that Ohio State program. I hope he doesn't, though. Number 6, previously at number 16, LSU. So from last season to this season, coaches poll, they jumped 10 spots. First of all, they play Wisconsin. It's a good season opener. Wisconsin typically has a pretty good team. I haven't looked too much into them this year as far as
they have a really tough schedule. By the time Nebraska plays them, they could be, have 3, 4, 5 losses and still be a good team. Yeah, just because of their schedule.
And Wisconsin's typically a pretty decent team in the Big Ten. So once again, they play them on September 3rd. So previously number 16, now number 6. One word Fournette. Fournette.
Excuse me.
Fournette is once again a Heisman hopeful like it was last year. So he had, 2 bad games? Maybe?
When they played Alabama, Alabama's game plan was
Stop Fournette.
we're not going to let Fournette run.
Yeah.
And LSU's game plan for that game must have been
Run.
Well, we think everybody thinks they can stop him, but nobody's been able to.
Kind of like when they played Auburn. Auburn's like,
Yeah.
we're going to shut you down, and Fournette just said, screw you.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
through.
And so, when they played Alabama, they probably were just thinking, nobody's been able to stop him. That's going to be what we do because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And, he had, no yards. He had nothing. He could not do anything. So LSU couldn't do anything else the whole game.
So Fournette rushed for 1,953 yards and 22 TDs last year. That's a good season. He had a hell of a good year. He's still a great running back. You can't take anything away from the guy. So they're saying, that the experts, once again, are saying that he underperformed. He's a better running back than that. But the defenses that stopped him proved otherwise. So yes, he could have performed better, but he didn't. Does it really mean he is as good as they think he is?
Yeah, I know it's kind of tough because with the way that those SEC defenses are, you can shoot, you can, like we were just saying, you can have a game plan to, and LSU typically does not have an over-the-top, outstanding quarterback.
Jimmy, they have a shitty quarterback every
I
year.
know.
Their quarterback always sucks.
trying
Who was that one really fat quarterback they had 5 years ago? He was 240 pounds.
Yeah,
And about 5'8". He was not.
And I know, and it is kind of crazy how LSU is usually
They never
always up
recruited a
there.
quarterback, a good quarterback.
So yeah, they're gonna run into that. They're gonna run into problems this year because teams are gonna have their game plans to stop Fournette, and it's just gonna be a matter of if he can break through. Depending on their offensive line and their schemes and their game plan and how well Fournette's playing, running.
Sorry. Well, they have a fantastic defense. They usually do. Their safety, Jamal Adams, had 64 tackles last year. So look for him to be a big part of that defense this year. Fournette obviously wants that Heisman. He wanted it last year.
Yeah, yeah.
He's going to do everything he can to get it this year.
Plus, Les's mind might be wandering a little bit because his son committed to Nebraska, and he might be trying to get him to go to LSU. I don't know.
Not going to happen. All right. Next, we have Stanford. Was number 3 at the end of the season last year. They dropped to number 7.
I'm not sure who all they lost is really it.
I have a hard time with this only because last year I turned into almost a diehard Christian McCaffrey and Stanford fan.
Me too, for sure.
Hogan was fantastic. McCaffrey was great. Both good guys on and off the field. I think this happens only because the team's in front of them and what these so-called experts believe is going to happen, which is not what usually you and I believe is going to happen. I think that Stanford could be ranked a little higher. I think they should be at least number 5 after the last year and how they played. So McCaffrey last year obviously started in the offense. He wants to duplicate last season. He wants to do even better. He had a hell of a good year. He rushed for over 2,000 yards. Not a lot of touchdowns rushing.
No, he really didn't have a lot of
TDs.
touchdowns.
No, 8 touchdowns rushing, 645 receiving yards, and 5 TDs.
But he had some punt returns. He had some kick returns.
He
was a
all-around
factor in the special teams game.
He was the Heisman winner. Should have been.
He really should have been.
But quarterback. Obviously, you lose Hogan. That's probably why they're ranked down a little bit. Is the returning players on offense? McCaffrey he's not going to be running the offense.
Yeah, and
he's a big player right now.
Stanford is probably feeling okay right now because no one, if somebody had them, if they had them preseason in the top 3, top 3, something like that, then there's some expectations. When they have them sitting where they're at right now, they're kind of like, well, there's all these expectations for all these other teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, we might be the highest Pac-12 team, and everybody's thinking Pac-12 is not going to make the playoff again.
I think Stanford.
So I think they're sitting in an okay spot.
I think you can text back.
No. Here.
I think Stanford has a good shot to do well again. McCaffrey, obviously, people are going to honing in on him. They were last year,
Mm-hmm.
and he still did well. The one team that shut him down, Notre Dame.
I mean, they did.
Really?
Yeah,
They're the only
they
team
shut
that
him.
shut
They
him
shut
down.
him down more than anybody else did. He still,
He did
got
okay
a little
against
bit done against them. Not much, but
That was probably his worst game throughout the season. If he had a good game against Notre Dame, I bet he would have won the Heisman.
that's probably
I still think
true.
he should have, but that was his one down game. So that's number 7. Number 8, previously number 12 is Michigan.
A lot of hype around Michigan this year.
This is a lot of Harbaugh. People are talking about Harbaugh. They're really getting on him, saying that he is doing such a good job recruiting. He's going to bring Michigan back to their glory days.
Which is very possible.
It could happen.
I just think it's a little bit early. I know when it comes to preseason talk about the season, you can say whatever you want. And, I do feel like there's a lot of hype around Michigan, which, I mean, yeah, there is potential there. Being that high and, them being a playoff team is possible, but I personally just think it's a little bit too early. And the reason why they are is because people think that it's going to come down to Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten, and they think that one of them will, be 11-1 with a Big Ten championship, 12-1 team that can make the playoff. That's the big deal with them two. The problem is they have to play each other and they're in the same division. So you can, just like last year, Ohio State was 10-2, 11-1, or whatever they were.
Yeah.
But they lost to Michigan State, and it came down to that.
Michigan State lost to Nebraska, which has probably killed them. Here's one thing about Michigan, though. They do have some of the most returning starters on offense.
And I think they had the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
So, and I'm not even.
That's why I said it's too early to jump the gun.
So
they'll be good.
But the recruiting class, I don't buy a lot of hype into that because very rarely do you have a freshman that is outstanding that comes in and just drills it. But the returning starters on offense and defense is big. You have second-year guys or third-year guys or fourth-year guys coming in and doing really well that know the offense, that know Harbaugh already. They're going to come in, they're going to play their butts off. Tight end Jake Butt, he returns. He only had 3 TDs, but 654 yards. I think tight end is one of Michigan's game. I think they're going to try to look to him this next year. I believe he's going to be a senior. And then they have Jordan Lewis on defense, cornerback. He had 2 interceptions, 30 tackles last year. Big player on defense. Look for them. Both those guys do a little better this year. It's Michigan. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 9. Previously number 11, Notre Dame. One of our favorite teams to talk about. Next to Ohio State. So Notre Dame. Are we going to have a quarterback controversy?
Honestly, dude,
who's going to start?
I don't know.
Malik Zaire?
I haven't looked into much what they're gonna do. Maybe they're gonna, because it was kind of like last year with Ohio State. This was their quarterback, but he was hurt. This was their quarterback that came in, but he got hurt. This was their quarterback that came in and won them a national championship. Zaire came in because Golson got hurt, was struggling, and then he tears it up. And so then that shifts Golson out into Florida State. And so then he comes in, and he's tearing it up. And then he gets hurt. And it was kind of like, oh, man, that could be kind of bad. And then Kaiser comes in, and shoot, he almost did better.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean...
Dude, Kaiser threw for just under 3,000 yards and 21 TDs last year. That was after taking over. That wasn't even the beginning of the season. If he played a full season, he probably would have played even better. I mean, he could have been a Heisman hopeful if he would have started the season and played as well as he did when he came in for Zaire. he could have played and had a Heisman season. He really could have.
Well, you can finish your point there.
I was going to say, obviously, you and I, we hate on Notre Dame. We do.
Sorry.
Because it's fun more than anything else because we have people that love Notre Dame.
Sorry, guys.
But when you have two quarterbacks, you're not sure who to play. We've seen how this plays out in college football. We've seen that it plays out really well for some teams, and for other teams not so well because you get people that, all right, I'm not going to play, I'm going to transfer. Or I'm not going to play, I sit on the bench, and then guess what? I graduate.
Or they kind of go back and forth, and somebody's struggling, so they bring the other one in. He's cold, and then they both are struggling. The thing about them this year is it'll be interesting to see some of the players step up because they lost their number one wide receiver. He was a first-round draft pick.
And their running back.
They lost their running back. He was a fairly high draft pick to take over Marshawn Lynch for the Seattle Seahawks. Yep. They had, a run game and a fantastic pass game, a deep threat in Will Fuller. He could outrun anybody.
Yes.
So now what do they turn to? I don't know I don't know the roster the way that I know Nebraska's.
You got Josh Adams at running back.
He did really well. He did really well.
When Preseason got hurt, he came in, he played
Yeah.
really well. So Adams is going to be, I think he's going to be solid again. He's a good running back. And wide receiver, you got Corey Robinson.
Is Corey
David Robinson's son.
See, is he back? I thought I heard something about him either getting hurt or being done, but I could be wrong about that.
If he's back,
yeah,
he could be a key player.
And not only that, but they always have, receivers and running backs that step up or that are you don't know, and then they come in and just like their quarterback play come in and they usually have good defensive players. They lost some.
And you got Torrey Hunter Jr. So Torrey Hunter coming in. Those two guys, Robinson and Hunter, look for them to have a great year wide receiver. They're going to be the top two targets. Number one target, Fuller's gone. You got Robinson and Hunter, who are, I think, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 on the list of wide receivers. They should be number 1, number 2 on that list. So if they can play up to their potential, and they have they figure out the quarterback situation with Adams at running back, Notre Dame's offense could be pretty darn good.
And they normally have a good defense. They lost some guys to draft picks pretty high.
Yeah.
But kind of like some of those other teams, Notre Dame brand name team. They rejuvenate their teams pretty quick.
I think last year, they were ranked like number 4 or number 5 preseason and predicted to go to the playoff and possibly win a championship.
And they almost did.
And they played well. So they are always ranked really high. Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Number 10. Previously number 22. This is another one I have a big problem with. Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers. How in the hell are they going to play at a number 10 at the beginning of the season? They start off against Appalachian State. Oh, by the way, Notre Dame
plays at Texas on Sunday. I was just going to say that.
At Texas.
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Which is, I think, is the only game.
Probably no one else is playing, so that's a big game to watch. Yep. Should be fun. I got to say go Notre Dame only because I hate Texas.
I can't even respond to that question.
Hook them down. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it in a couple weeks. Appalachian State and Tennessee play opening week for Tennessee. Tennessee's ranked at number 10. Previously at number 22.
They play Thursday night. Which there's not very many good Thursday night games to start the season.
This has got to be one of the biggest season-to-season jumps in end of the season and beginning of the season. They jumped 12 spots. They ended at 22 last year. They're starting at number 10 this year. This is why I hate preseason rankings.
Yep.
I said it last year. Tennessee, I'm calling BS on them. I'm sorry. They have a lot of returning players on offense and defense. They have a good running back, a good quarterback. I still only think that they're ranked that high because there's a lot of hype around them. Everyone is believing in the Volunteers.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype around them pretty much every year. They always think that they have a good recruit. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They're in the SEC. They play Alabama every year. They lose to Florida every year. Sorry. But they, I feel for them because we're such diehard Husker fans. I feel like if I was a Tennessee fan, I would just be so stoked for every year because there's so much hype around them. But then they drop,
they just drop the ball, man. They lose those games that are so close in the SEC.
And I know last year they were beating Oklahoma by double digits in the second half in the beginning of the year, and they should have beat them. They lost, and they were beaten Florida by double digits and they lost. It's just
No one should have lost to Florida last year. No one should have lost to Florida.
no.
Just
And they played Northwestern in their bowl game, and I actually because I watched Tennessee piss a few games down their leg.
Yeah.
And I watched Northwestern, and that was not the type of game that they played. I
No.
thought Northwestern. I know they got blown out by Iowa and Michigan, but I thought Northwestern was, I'm like, no, they're not. They're gonna beat up on Tennessee, and
Yeah.
Tennessee kind of waxed them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But
Tennessee, there's a lot of hype around
that
them.
being a top 10 team is a bit of a stretch.
That's my problem. I still think they're gonna have a good season, and I think they're gonna do well in the SEC. I don't want to take anything
They're in
away
the
from
SEC
them.
East, I think so.
But the fact that they went 12 spots after ending last season, after playing the way they did last year, yes, a lot of returning players, but to jump that high from postseason to preseason,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time. But they got some good. They have a lot of good returning players. Jalen Hurd, Joshua Dobbs, great quarterback, great running back. I think they're going to do just fine on the offensive side. My question is how are they going to do on defense. Can they stop other teams? Can they play well offensively enough? Absolutely. But can they stop on defense? Can they stop other offenses from scoring? We'll see how it goes. So those are our top 10s.
Okay.
Missing out. Ranked at number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 last year. Michigan State is out. TCU is out. Houston's out. Iowa's out. And Ole Miss is out.
There's some great teams right here.
Those 5 teams were in the top 10 at the end of the season, are now dropped out. Not in that order, but
the problem
out.
with Michigan State is that they're in a division with Michigan and Ohio State, 2 teams that are way up there in the top 10.
And they lost their star player.
And they lost some of their stars on defense. They lost their starting quarterback. They're probably in a little bit of a rebuilding year. I think that they'll probably be okay.
I think a quarterback is a big hit.
It is. It is.
I think that's huge.
A team like TCU is always. I mean, shoot, you can say they're not going to be that great. They're going to be great, and they're always right there. So you never really know. Houston, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. TCU is Big 12. I mean, they're going to be TCU again.
Yeah.
They're going to have a shootout with Baylor. Big 12 is going to be Big 12 again.
Yeah.
Iowa. I mean, who knows? Better.
They had a lot. Iowa didn't lose many players, and they went 12-0 last year.
No.
12-1, 12-2 with their Big Ten championship loss, and then the Rose Bowl loss.
I think they'll be okay.
I think they're going to be. I really hope that,
I hate saying that, but
when it comes down to Nebraska and Iowa, that game is winner goes to the Big Ten championship. I think it would be fantastic. It'd be fun.
It burns my soul to say Iowa's going to be good next year. It really does.
I know.
For the Jasons in the world watching.
Jason, missed you, brother.
Terrible. Suck it, Iowa. All right. So before we talk about trouble with the law, let's talk about Heisman hype. So we talked about a couple of them already. So Clemson, we got Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
He's clear-cut number 1
Yep.
to take the Heisman, which I don't disagree.
Nah. Him and McCaffrey is probably a pretty 50-50.
But they're 1 and 2.
Stat-wise, you look at on paper, Deshaun Watson is number 1.
So they're 1 and 2. Leonard Fournette's number 3. Fournette's he's gonna come out. He has vengeance this year. This is his year to come back and say, you know what? Last year I fudged up in a couple games. I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna play my best. Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield. Once again, I don't agree with it. Good quarterback. I don't think he's a Heisman quarterback though. Just my thoughts.
Good quarterback. You know how the Heisman works. It's usually the best player on the best team. So if Oklahoma's there, and they beat Houston, and they beat Ohio State, and they win the Big 12, he will probably be in the discussion.
Now here's my sleeper though, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
although I hate Florida State,
was really good.
Hell of a good running back. He was great last year. Even if Florida State is not doing that well this year, which I don't think they will, 3 or 4 losses, I'm calling it now. Dalvin Cook still could have a stellar year to get him in the Heisman talk. Get him in the top 3 guys to go to New York for a Heisman. I still think he can do it. Ohio State.
JT Barrett.
With all the youth they have, he's a great
it's
player.
It's going to be tough. He's going to have a pretty outstanding year.
He's gonna have to be pretty incredible to get to that Heisman race. But not to say it can't happen. Great player, great guy. Hate Ohio State, but like JT Barrett.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with him.
Yep.
All right. Trouble with the law. Last few minutes of the segment. So, first of all, DeAndre Johnson got dismissed from Florida State for punching a girl in the face at the bar. Did you see the video?
I did.
Okay, so I fully agree. This one's tough for me. I fully think that he should have been charged to the fullest. From the video, it looked like he grabbed her wrist. Yeah, she punched him, but she grazed him. She grazed his cheek. She grazed his cheek. She did not punch him face. She did not punch him in the nose.
I know, and it's...
So that is where I struggle is no, she didn't punch him in the nose. She kind of grazed his cheek. He went full on, pow, right in the face.
I know, it's...
I mean, and not only that, but after that happened, he got pulled away. His guys got him, and they pulled him out of the bar. So, is he guilty? 100% yes. Does he need help? Absolutely. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, she started it, or she aggravated him, or she said she punched him first. You know what? I don't care. You never punch a woman.
No,
you
never,
don't
never,
do
never,
it. Just don't. I mean, if a girl punches you, she was smaller than him. He's a college football player. Man, get your act together. I don't care if you've been drinking.
I know.
You never ever do that. So, Deshaun Watson gets kicked off, or DeAndre Johnson, sorry, gets kicked off from Florida State for punching a girl in the face. I fully agree with that. And let me go back and preface this whole discussion. You know how many arrests were made from the beginning of the year to now?
A lot.
119. Well, between arrests and citations. The majority, DUI and marijuana. Those two are the majority of the arrests. So here's my whole thing with marijuana. It's going to be legal in all 50 states eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as a huge deal. Most of them were minor possessions, a couple felony possessions, but very, very few were felony. I think one or two. But 119 arrests, a lot of them marijuana, a lot of them DUIs. Here's the thing. I went to college. You drink in college.
Yeah.
Whether you're an athlete or not, I drank with athletes that played basketball. I drank with athletes that played football. We drank. Now, the driving home is what I have a problem with, but there's a lot of it's one of those things that you're going to see more in college than you are anything else. So it happens. I don't agree with it, but there's consequences to pay. Now, no one's been kicked off the team for DUIs or marijuana possession. Now,
a little suspension here and there.
Yes. So here's the thing with Georgia. Georgia had 6 guys arrested or cited this offseason. 2 of them got kicked off. Chauncey Rivers, he had his 3rd marijuana arrest. Here's where it's a problem. So if you are arrested multiple times or cited multiple times for the same thing, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Randy Gregory for Nebraska. You have a problem.
Yep, pretty much.
If you can't stop smoking marijuana just to make your money, you're an idiot. You are an idiot.
Make millions of dollars.
If you can't hide your marijuana, if you can't get it out of your car, if you can't do that, then you are stupid and you don't deserve to be an athlete. Go to school, get your education if you can, if you haven't lost all your brain cells. But you are a moron if you get caught 3 times with marijuana. You're a dumbass.
I know.
So Chauncey Rivers, you deserve to be kicked off the team. Chad Clay, I think he's a freshman sophomore. He got kicked off of Georgia. He got his 2nd arrest in 3 months.